Hi, we will see margin of error and level of confidence in this session. In this session, we will learn about expected value, variance, standard deviation, level of confidence, margin of error, confidence interval, and the relation among these terms. First, we will take an example, tossing a coin. This is called dichotomous variable. That means there are only two possibilities possible when you measure or observe. In this case, when tossing a coin, there are only two possibilities, head or tail, that can fall. Suppose you want head to fall. That means your favorable event is head, and you'll have to assign a value of 1 to this favorable event, and 0 to the unfavorable event. This is very important, otherwise you cannot proceed with the calculations. Let us take a general Bernoulli trial. Here, the probability of occurrence of a favorable event be P. Then the probability of occurrence of unfavorable event is 1 minus P, because the total probability is only 1. One of these two will have to certainly occur. Okay. The expected value is given by the value of this event multiplied by its frequency plus the value of this favorable event multiplied by this frequency divided by total frequency. Since the total frequency is 1, this is called probabilities. Therefore, the mean value is obtained by multiplying 0 by 1 minus P and adding to the multiplication of 1 with P, that is P. Therefore, you can take as confirmed expected value is the probability of occurrence of your favorable event in one trial. Always remember this. If P is the probability of occurrence of your favorable event in one trial, then P is the average value of this distribution. Variance is defined by the expected squared distance of value from the mean. Please note, if you take this unfavorable event, it is at a distance of 0.6 on the negative side. And if you take the favorable event, it is at a distance of 0.4 on the positive side. So if I add this, the positive and negative values will cancel out, giving you a misinterpretation. Therefore, I am squaring this distance in the formula. 0 minus mu whole squared into 1 minus P is the probability of occurrence of this event, plus P into 1 minus mu whole squared. On expansion, it will give you the result as P into 1 minus P, the product of P and 1 minus P. Standard deviation being the square root of variance is equal to square root of P into 1 minus P. Therefore, this mean value and standard deviation is very important for you in future calculations. Now, we will take a case study. Consider a basket full of colorful balls, 100 balls, with 60 of them blue balls. Then the probability of taking a blue ball is 60 by 100, which is 0.6. That is favorable event. Let selecting a blue ball be the favorable event. Why? Its probability of occurrence is 0.6. Therefore, probability of occurrence of taking a non-blue ball is 1 minus 0.6, 0.4, because either I can take blue ball or non-blue ball. So total events are only given by N and B. N for non-blue ball, B for selecting a blue ball. Now, I am selecting the ball 10 times. That is, N is equal to 10 trials. Independent trials. Independent trial means I take the ball, check the ball, blue or not, then again put the ball back and then take again. How many times I get the blue balls is my intention. So if I do it 10 times, I will get 6 times blue ball, because probability of occurrence of blue ball is 0.6 for each trial. For 10 trials, 10 into 0.6. This is the mean given for this distribution. That is, X is binomially distributed. For binomial distribution, you can see my another video, but for the present, you can take this formula. NP is the mean value for this distribution. Expected value of the proportion present in the population is P. Proportion means per trial. That's always P. Variance is P into 1 minus P. Standard deviation is square root of P into 1 minus P by N. Because I am doing 10 times, therefore it is sample means. I have to take standard deviation of sample means, which is given by standard error. Standard deviation of the sample means is given by population standard deviation divided by square root of sample size. We know that sample means are normally distributed using central limit theorem. Only thing is you have to take care of the sample size. It should be appropriate. We know that population parameters can be estimated using normal distributions. We know this very well because standard normal distribution, all the details are available in textbook, and population parameters can be estimated once we know the mean and the interested value. Now, therefore, if sample means are known, we can estimate the population parameters because sample means are distributed normally and population parameters can be estimated using this sample means distribution, which are normally distributed. So we have sample statistics now. What are they? Proportion, we know, because 10 times if I take the ball out, maybe 5 times or 7 times or 8 times or 6 times, that is called P. 6 by 10 is 0.6 is the P value. And standard deviation, I know using this formula. And standard deviation of the sample mean also I can find out using the sample size. So square root of P into 1 minus P by N. Then let us fix a level of confidence 95%. For 95% level of confidence, Z score for two trial is 1.96. This is similar to the 99.73% of values will be lying between -3 and +3 in standard normal distribution. We know that means 99.73 level of confidence mean Z is equal to 3. Similarly, within -1 and +1, between +1 and -1, 68.27% of values lie. That means if level of confidence is 68.27, then Z score is 1. So similarly, for 95% level of confidence, Z score is 1.96 for two-tailed distribution. Now, error bound for mean is given by the Z score multiplied by the standard deviation. Here, standard error because we are considering sample means. Now, confidence level for the population is equal to CI is equal to P plus or minus E. P is the observed proportion plus or minus margin of error, which is nothing but the error bound for mean. So here E is called margin of error. We can find out the confidence interval once we know the margin of error. And margin of error depends upon level of confidence we want. See, level of confidence is 95% means Z score is known. Once Z score is known, we can find out the margin of error in this relation. Once margin of error is known, we can find out the confidence interval. That is what we saw in this slide. Now we'll take another case study. Sample size we have taken 600. Proportion observed is 0.6. And population standard deviation we can find out. Level of confidence we are fixing indirectly by fixing the significance level. If I fix significance level as 0.05, 5%, then level of confidence is 1 minus alpha, which is 0.95, for which I can find out for two-tail Z score as 1.96 from the table. This is the table. I can refer the LOC and the Z score correspondingly. Now, for this, I can do it by Excel method. It will give you directly, or I can use this manually using this formula. What we will do is, remember these data values. Level of confidence is 95%, and the number of samples is 600. Proportion is 0.6. What we will do is, we will do this by Excel. Now, this is the table here, Excel table. All we need to do is, I'm fixing LOC as 95, and number of samples is 600. Proportion we found at 0.6. So margin of error is 0.04. Now, suppose we find that it is too much. We want to reduce the margin of error. Then what we should do? We should increase the sample size. 800 I'll put. Then it has become minus 0.03. I can also change the margin of error by changing the level of confidence, but this is not ethical, right? I cannot change it by increasing the level of confidence and reducing the margin of error. Therefore, I'll have to have it 95%. Once I fix the significance level, that should not be changed, whereas sample size can be changed to get to your margin of error. Okay, I'll make it a 600, reduce the sample size, so margin of error will increase. And for continuous variable, I will do it here itself. The sample size is 50. Level of confidence we fix as 95%. And population standard deviation is found to be 5.4. Then standard deviation of the sample mean distribution will be sigma by square root of n, 5.4 divided by square root of 50. That is what is this sigma x bar. Now margin of error is nothing but the product of Z score and standard error. That is what is 1.5. So if I change the sample size, if I increase it, margin of error will decrease to 1.37. We will see that 60 I'm making. It becomes lower. Okay. So this is how you can use this Excel table to find the sample size or margin of error, whatever you want. Right? What we will do is we'll go to the slide and then Now, situation is margin of error looks too big. 0.04 we got it. We said that 0.04 is too high. We should reduce it. So what is the action we should take? Increase the sample size. This is the action. Why should we increase? Then only the attitudes of the people surveyed, that is a sample display, will be matching those of total population very closely. What the population says, the sample also should say, at least closer to the population attitude. Now, what does it mean? Increase the sample size, send survey to more people. If you send survey to more people, that does not increase the sample size. You should get a response from the people. Then only the sample size will increase. Now, we'll take another case study for dichotomous variable. You want to name your product, say name A. Your target market is say 4 lakh. You can't survey all the 4 lakh people. You can't go and ask all the 4 lakh people. So you decide to survey n number of potential customers, say 600 people. Small n is equal to 600. You got the following results. Out of 600 people, 360 people like your name. Then it is 60%. 360 by 600 into 100 is 60%. That is, proportion is, probability is 0.6. Right? P percentage of respondents preferred name A is 60%. That is 360 people. That means P is equal to 0.6. You want a level of confidence, say 95% or 90%, whatever you want. Once you fix this, you can get the Z score. Now, this level of confidence reflects how certain you are that the sample accurately reflects the attitudes of the total population. With what confidence level you can say that you are correct. Estimate the margin of error now using the formula. Margin of error is Z score multiplied by population standard deviation divided by square root of sample size, which is 0.04. That means 4%. Now, conclusion is 60 plus or minus 4% of the total population prefer name A over your product. Or numerical value, I can put 60 plus 4, 60 minus 4. 56 to 64% of the total population, that is 4 lakh people, would prefer name A for your product. This is how you get it. Right? Now, we can do this. We have already done this. We will see again once more. We'll go to the Excel and say, remember this 600, 0.6 and 95%. So, 600, 0.6 and 95%, therefore 4% you got the result. Now, this is for dichotomous variable. We will see for continuous variable also here. Now, you want to find the confidence interval for a particular population mean. Like, for example, you want to measure the diameter of a shaft. You are making 1,000 pieces and you are checking it and then finding out the mean value. And you want to find out the estimate of the population mean at a 95% level of confidence. So population standard deviation found to be 5.4. Number of observation made is say 50. N is equal to 50. And sample mean observed is 74. Dimension is 74. That is diameter of the shaft. Mean diameter of the shaft comes out to be 74 centimeter. Let us fix a level of confidence, say 95%. Confidence interval is X bar, that is observed mean plus or minus this margin of error. Now we can find out the margin of error using this formula, sigma score, that is Z score, and multiplied by standard error, sigma by square root of n, 5.4 divided by square root of 50. So conclusion is 74 plus or minus margin of error, which is 1.49, will be population mean at 95% level of confidence. So I take any shaft, 95% confidence, I can say that it will be within this range. 72.51 to 75.49 centimeter will be the diameter of the shaft if I take randomly any sample shaft. This is what it means. This also we can see here by going to the Excel. Remember this 5.4, 50 and 74. You'll see here. See 95% level of confidence, and then sample size is 50. And then sigma level is 5.4. Therefore, what we will do is 1.5. This is what we have seen here, right? We will go to there. Say 1.49, which is 1.5. Yeah. Now, this is the population standard deviation. The population distribution, I can say. The mean value, observed value is 74. Mean value may be different, but it will be close within this range only. 74 is the mean value, I'm saying. With the margin of error, level of confidence I'm fixing it as 95%. What is the margin of error? 1.5 on this side or on this side. That means confidence interval also I can find out. That is mu minus MOE or mu plus MOE. Between these two, 95% of the time, the population mean will fall. Procedure is first you define the population. What do you mean by defining the population? Suppose I want to find out the characteristic of Chennai drivers. Then the population size will be number of drivers in Chennai. Right? So entire set we want to study with our survey. That is what is population size. Then we decide the accuracy. How much you allow the results to differ from the attitudes of whole target. That means if the speed of the drivers in their cars is say 50 miles per hour, and if I take a sample and find out the average miles per hour, it should be close to that value. Right? For that, I will have to fix the confidence level and sample size. So accuracy is fixed by the margin of error and confidence level. Once confidence level is fixed, that is significance level is fixed, confidence level is also fixed. We cannot change it. It is not ethical. But margin of error, if it is too much, then we can try to get decreased margin of error, more accurate values by increasing the sample size. What does it mean? We have not collected enough sample to make it closer to the attitude of the population, the reflection of the population mean. So define sample size. It is the number of completed responses we get, not the number of people who receive the survey. It is not that we go and meet the drivers. We'll have to go and meet the driver and get the average speed miles per hour of his driving. Now, balancing the confidence level we want and the margin of error acceptable. How close you want the result and what is the confidence level. These two are balanced and sample size is obtained. Estimate the response rate. This is nothing but the percentage of actual respondents among those who received your survey. It is not merely asking the drivers what is the mileage. It is that you are asking the drivers and the driver should respond. Only then it is counted as a sample. So sample size will be determined by this your previous experience. In random sampling, a conservative guess is 10 to 15% will complete the survey. Not all the drivers may respond. Like for example, if you want to have 100 drivers sample size, right? You want to get the result miles per hour for 100 drivers. Then if only 10% of the drivers will respond to and then tell you your true miles per hour, then what you should do, 100 divided by 10%. 10% will be 100 means 100% will be 100 by 0.1, which is 1000. So you have to ask 1000 drivers to get 100 drivers at least give you a good response, positive response, true response. This is an important part in the balancing act while designing your survey. Once you are through in this procedure, you can start your survey on a strong footing. All PhD students, please note this procedure. This is very important for your success. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel and view more educational videos and share it to your friends so that they also learn. Right? Thank you very much for patiently listening to my videos. More such videos I'll be putting on YouTube. Please view and share it with your friends. Thank you very much.